What it do, y'all? It's your girl Makeup and Travel, and for today's video I actually want to review the 2 items that I have from McGrath Labs. So if you guys are interested in seeing my opinion of both the eyeshadow palette and the matte lipstick, then just keep watching. Alrighty, y'all, so like I said in the intro, I'm gonna reviewing the 2 items that I bought from McGrath Labs. Now, if y'all follow me on my Twitter, you know that I have wanted to try out this brand for a while. And as soon as I saw that she was releasing 6-pan eyeshadow palettes for $55, I was like, I'm getting it, especially because of the color scheme of this eyeshadow palette. The one I got is the La Vie in Rose. It's the pinky purple one. Let me just open it up really quickly for you guys. So this is the palette. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it before I get into my actual review, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys a glimpse of what the palette looked like. So I'm going to kind of talk about the palette a little bit more, and then I'll get into my actual feelings about this palette and the eyeshadow palette formula. So this palette retails for $55 and you get 0.42 ounces of product throughout the whole palette. Now from those, I'm not gonna lie, I have seen a couple of other reviews, and from the people that buy McGrath eyeshadow palettes constantly, they've talked about how the actual amount of product that you get for the price is a better price. You get a better amount of product for the price in these eyeshadow palettes than you do in her bigger ones. So if you are interested in trying out her formula, I would suggest, just off of that principle, trying out it from these eyeshadow palettes. Now it does come with the design being the actual palette, which I really do like, because watching the reviews of the other first 4 palettes that she released, you could tell that the design of like this was the outside packaging and it wasn't the actual palette, and a lot of people didn't like that. So I like that she did take that in consideration and she really made this one the actual palette. It comes with a little twisty, it's not like the tie like the other ones. And then when you open it up, you get a pretty decent mirror. Sorry, I know I just blinded the mess out of you guys. And then you get to see the colors. Now on the back it does say the formulation for each color, because not all the colors have the same formulation and the same ingredients. Right off bat you can tell that there's only one matte and the rest are shimmers. I have used every shade on my eyes. So yeah, I don't think there's any other background information to give you guys. Actually, I'm gonna just go ahead and do the swatches really quickly, and then we can go from there. So I will tell you off bat that these shadows are rougher than I was expecting. I was expecting them to be super creamy, melt in my finger type formula. They really aren't. They definitely are a harder pressed formula than I was expecting. So I'm just make sure I get a good enough amount of product. Gold is definitely the loosest feeling out of all of the 4 that I just swatched. I will say it's probably because I have worked that color in. Like I said, they aren't the most creamiest formula that I have felt, neither the mattes nor the shimmers. So that is something to say. Let me just get them all swatched and then I can go down the row and tell you what color is which. I will say I'm happy that we at least get something that says the names. Just like other people, I would prefer if the names were just on the palette. Not for tutorial's sake, just I know I'm gonna lose that sheet of paper, so it would just be easier if that was already on the palette. But alrighty, so here are the shades, and I kind of did them backwards, so let's go. The first and only matte is Paranormal. Then you have Rose Risque. Then you have Euphoria. Then next you have Gold Nectar. Then next I have Purple Rain. And lastly you have Pale Fire. So these are all the shades. I'm coming a little bit closer so that you guys can see them. Alright, so as you can see, it shows up on my skin. They are pretty pigmented. And yeah, so for my review on these actual shadows, I will say that these are not the most outright pigmented shadows that I have tested out before or tried. These are definitely shadows, especially the matte. The matte you definitely have to build up in the crease or wherever you're actually using it. I will also say that this is not a standalone palette for the way that I do eyeshadow. I brought in 2 eyeshadow palettes when I was testing these out. Let me just get them really quickly. So the first one that I used was an all purple palette, and it's the Ciate London Chloe Morello first volume palette. And I mainly used these matte purples down here to really develop my crease. And then I went up to Queen Bee to deepen out my outer V. So I definitely used this palette a lot. Not a lot, but I used this palette to help develop my crease area. Just because it's an all matte palette, one, it has purples, and there are definitely a lot of purple tones in the Pat McGrath palette. But yeah, it just was a very good combination, and it was just a very good combination in my opinion. I also, every time that I tested out this palette, I used my Lorac Pro palette, mainly because I am trying to hit pan on my buff for my project pan, which I will link the video up over there. But I also went into Plum, and I used that to help deepen up my crease, because that's actually a deeper purple than you would think looking at it at the pan, or in the pan. And then I also actually used Navy to deepen out my outer V, and I actually used this palette in today's look. Don't judge me for the messed up foundation. It's been on all day, but let me just show you the look. So yeah, I definitely, for the way I use oh no. So for the way that I do my eyeshadow, I will say that this Pat McGrath palette personally is not a standalone palette for me, but that doesn't mean that I'm mad about it. I have a couple eyeshadow palettes in my collection right now that are not standalone palettes. You would have to bring in another palette, which is fine. I have enough eyeshadows. I don't mind bringing it in, and I love purple. So oh my gosh, we're just gonna close this and move this off the edge, because it's the second time I've dropped this palette. All right, so I don't mind bringing in other eyeshadow palettes personally to finish my look. If that's a problem with you, maybe this palette is not for you. And I don't think she has any real eyeshadow palette that she's dropped thus far that has a lot of mattes, so Pat McGrath might not be the brand for you. But that being said, let's move into the shimmers. The shimmers are not pam pam. The shimmers are not like bam on your lids, in my opinion. When I apply them with a brush, they are not streaky, but they're sheer. So what I tend to do with every shimmer that I have tested out in this palette, which is all of them, I take my brush, I will foil it, and then that really helps to make it not a thicker formula, but it really helps it to pop off my lids a little bit more, and then it also helps it to build on my lid more, because I find with a dry brush it will not build on my lid. Now that's not a deal breaker for me either. A lot of the metallics that I have in my collection I have to build up, or I have to foil in some way, form, or fashion. So it's perfectly fine for me. I know a lot of people will say these are $55. This is a $55 eyeshadow palette. I shouldn't have to do anything. I shouldn't have to go outside of it. I shouldn't have to build it up or foil it. You know, to each his own. I want to support Pat McGrath, one, because she's the iconic makeup artist, but also because she's a Black woman, and I will support my Black people any which way I can. So that being said, I would recommend her eyeshadow palettes based on this one that this is the only one that I've tested. So I would recommend her eyeshadow palettes if you're okay with having an eyeshadow palette that, one, is not standalone, two, you might have to build up the matte shades if there are matte shades in them, because not all of her palettes have matte shades, and then three, if you're willing to foil the metallics. From what I've seen, some of her other shadows might actually, the metallics might actually be more foiled off back. So I am interested in the fourth one, the decondence, I don't know, I'll put a picture of it right here, but I am interested in that one. That might be a VIB sale purchase only, but yeah, I will probably purchase more from her line eyeshadow wise, but the eyeshadow palettes have to speak to me. For that price range, I'm not going to purchase everything. That's just, I'm just not in that financial state, but I will splurge on the ones that really catch my eye. So sorry for that long review. Like I said, I would recommend this, but only to those people that those three criteria are okay with them. If it's not, I wouldn't recommend her. Maybe there are plenty other brands out there that are cheaper, that give you more pigmentation out the bat, but most people, especially if you're a makeup artist, you would prefer a formula like this because, one, you want your mattes to build up more, and two, for more editorial looks, they're not necessarily looking for bam metallics. They're looking for metallics that can catch the light, where they move, this, that, and this third. So I think her eyeshadow palettes are built in her makeup artist realm and not in the typical makeup lovers realm, where we want flat out pigmented eyeshadows, flat out banging metallics. So I'm gonna leave that eyeshadow palette alone, and I'm gonna get to the lipstick that I purchased. So the lipstick is the same packaging as all her other ones. It is the twisty tie, so I'm just gonna unravel that. And it does have what looks like a lip design all around it. Something, I don't know, this is like a tag saying what shade it is. I actually got Divine Brown, so yes, it's a nude. I know, but look at this packaging, y'all. I mean, goodness gracious. Yes. And then it twirls up. As you can see, I have used this, and this will actually have already been a Sassy Lip Saturday on my blog, so I will link that below by the time this is up. Now, this formula, I gotta talk about this formula. Let me swatch it really quickly so you guys can see what it looks like. And I will also put on here a picture of the lipstick on my lips, so it should be popping up right now so you guys can see it. But here is it swatched on my arm. So it definitely is deeper than my skin tone, which I like in a brown nude. But this is not a normal matte lipstick. Now, I will say this, out of all the stuff on her collection, this one has won awards. I can't remember off the top of my head what the award was, but this one has won awards, and for good reason. This matte lipstick, one, is nowhere near drying. It dang near feels like a cream lipstick on my lips. It is so light, airy. You really don't feel anything with this on your lips. But it lasts. It lasts a ridiculous amount of time, and I was not expecting that. I wore this lipstick all day without retouching it up, because that's how I like to test out my lipsticks when I'm doing them for review purposes. And it lasts. The only thing that happened, and I actually have a picture of it later on in the day, which I will switch to right now, is the inner part of my lip wore away, and that just happens because I was eating, drinking, etc., etc. I will say this is not budge proof, so, or kiss proof, so it will go on to products that you drink. If you kiss somebody throughout the day with this lipstick, it will go off, but at the same time, it's like it's a thick enough formula that it does not appear to have gone off your lips. Now, I will say that since this is neutral color, it might be that, like, let's say I got one of her brighter colors. She has like a bright, I want to say orange. If I were to have gotten that might not be the same case. I might notice that it actually does wear off a lot faster. But I will say with this color on my lips, it lasts for a very long time. I did not notice it wearing down other than in the inside of my lip, and this was with 8 hours wear. So out of everything that I've tried, I would say that this is foolproof for anybody who is a lipstick lover. This is $38, so this is the most expensive lipstick that I have in my collection, and it will stay in the box, in the packaging, for its whole tenure in my makeup collection. But it's a beautiful formula. I do want to get another color. I don't have very many nudes in lipstick form, so I think I do kind of want 1995, which is a popular shade in her formula. But I would recommend her matte trance lipsticks. It wears really well, very comfortable. I have no problems with this lipstick at all. Realized that I didn't talk about one thing when it came to the eyeshadow palette. Though, yes, it was not the most pigmented. Yes, it's not the most metallic outright. These are the longest wearing eyeshadows on my oily lids that I have found. Now, my under eyes are dry, my lids are oily, and my T-zone is oily. So for these eyeshadows to last all day perfectly the same way I blended them before, I really like that. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize. Just wanted to make sure to come on here and let you guys know that these are the most long-lasting eyeshadows that I have tried. All right. Thanks, guys. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions on the lipstick or the eyeshadow palette. I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Definitely go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're interested, and also give this video a thumbs up if you liked my review. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace.